You guys, so I was once an incel and I didn't even know it. So the interesting thing is, I had this one moment, that's crystallized in my mind that I want to say was a defining factor in realizing that I had hit rock bottom in the sexual marketplace, right? And it was quite disturbing, in the moment. So what happened was that I was chasing around this girl at a party, and looking back now, I'm embarrassed, but I mean, she was ugly, right? Let's be honest, objectively speaking, she was ugly. But at that time, that's what I thought I could get. So, I made it a point to try to pursue her, and I'll never forget it. I saw her making out with another dude in front of me, and I don't know, there was something about it that it really just it made me realize that, like, obviously I was doing something wrong. Like, nothing's going right. Um, Even the ugly girls were rejecting me, right? So it got to that point where I had to be like utterly disgusted with who I had become, with who I was, in order to make a change, right? And I think we all need that moment, right? We need that moment of clarity, right? So you're either gonna accept it for what it is, right? Which is that I need to make a change, or alternatively, you would just double down and just pretend like it isn't your responsibility. You decide. So, at that moment, this was years ago, I decided I didn't want to ever feel like that ever again. That feeling of just rejection and just being, tormented by the fact that I just wasn't able to do the things that I wanted. In this case, right, using the example of women, of being able to get women. So after that happened, I had to make some changes. I had to, it was like, obviously what I was doing wasn't working, right? Getting high all the time was not working. Watching, what, explicit, pixelated content was not working. Uh, you know, uh, Subjecting myself to fapping was obviously not working. Not exercising was not working. Being stuck inside was not working. Not having any pursuits, not having any passions, not having any interests, not knowing how to socialize, that was not working. So then I realized, like, all right, I got to work on all these things, right? So I got to work, right? And it was slow. It was progress, but it was slow. And it took a long time for me to realize what that looked like. And then, it's interesting because, like, at that moment, I didn't know that I was an incel. That wasn't like a concept that I was aware of. I just knew that there was something wrong, and I didn't like it. And I think that once you get to that point where you're like, yeah, this is obviously not something I'm comfortable with, I don't want this to be my existence, you start to realize, like, it's something in you, right? Something in you. It's not something that someone can get you to understand. You really got to get that feeling, right? That experience of rejection, of feeling down and out, to make those changes. And I think it's a wonderful thing, because I'll be honest with you, if that would have never happened, I don't know if I would necessarily have had that springboard, that impetus to want to do other things, right? Because from that, and from any terrible experiences, any horrible ordeals, like, you're either gonna use that as motivation, as energy to do something, or you're gonna atrophy, right? You're just gonna stay in your position, and you're gonna just, like, sulk, and you're just gonna feel sorry for yourself, but it's not gonna get you anywhere, right? As opposed to going the other route and saying, you know what, I'm gonna be proactive, I'm gonna practice and execute and exercise some of my agency. You just realize that that is just the way to go. Because even if it doesn't work out, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that moment that I had crystallized in my mind as, like, the moment where I felt most defeated in the sexual marketplace, if I would have had that experience, I don't know if I necessarily would have felt like I was at rock bottom, right? I would have just felt like I was not doing well, but it wouldn't have hit me so hard, right? So that feeling was necessary. That experience was absolutely vital to making change. And I think that's the ultimate goal for everyone, right? It should be, right? Is to get better, right? Even if you mess up, it doesn't matter. The pursuit is all that matters, right? Because you're gonna learn something from it. You're gonna come out better as a result. And I think that's the main thing to take away from this story, right? Is that now, fast forward, right, where I am now. I mean, if that little ugly chick, even looked my way, I wouldn't even stare, right? Because it's like, it's so different for me now. My experiences have made me a different person. I wouldn't, and this is not to knock it, right? I'm not trying to be a sore loser, but the reality is, a girl like that, I would have no business even speaking to, let alone looking at, right? But you see, look how much change had to happen for me to get from that point where I was desperately trying to get an ugly chick to knowing that I would have no business entertaining that at all right now, right? And you see how things can just change so rapidly, right? The thing is though, you gotta stay the course, right? You have to have a mission. You have to dig in and find something. Anyway, I hope this helps.